You know that feeling, right? Picking up your cat from the groomer, they look so pristine, so fluffy, just perfect. But what happens in those first few hours and days after you get home? Well, that's actually one of the most critical and, honestly, most overlooked parts of their care. So let's get into what's really going on with your cat.
I mean, we see this gorgeous, clean cat, but we have to stop and ask, how do they feel? Their whole experience is profoundly different from what we see on the surface, and trying to get inside their head for a minute is the absolute key to making sure they have a smooth and safe recovery.
Okay, here's a really powerful idea to keep in mind, and it changes everything. For a cat, grooming isn't just a little spa day, it's a major physiological event. When you start thinking of it that way, it totally reframes how you approach their aftercare.
So, what exactly makes it so stressful for them? I mean, what's the big deal? Understanding the why behind their stress is the first step to making sense of how they act when they get back home.
Just try to imagine it from their point of view for a second. You're in a strange place, bombarded with weird smells and the terrifying roar of clippers and dryers. You're being held still, you can't get away, and then suddenly your protective coat is gone. That can even mess with their ability to regulate their own body temperature. It is quite literally a complete sensory overload.
And this is exactly why you see the behaviors you see. The hiding under the bed, refusing their favorite treat. That's not your cat being moody or giving you the silent treatment. It's a physical stress response. Their body has been flooded with stress hormones, and these are the very real, though thankfully temporary, after effects. Okay, so knowing all that, what are your top priorities the second you walk through the door? Let's go through your critical 24-hour checklist.
The entire foundation of post-grooming care is super simple and easy to remember. Just think, eat, drink, and rest. Your main job in that first day is to just be an observer and make sure these three things are happening. And here's a great pro tip for you. Even if your cat is a free feeder and just grazes all day, for the first day or two, give them a separate bowl with a measured amount of food. It's really the only way you can know for sure how much they're actually eating and drinking. Look, a slight dip in appetite for a day is pretty normal, but anything longer than that is a huge red flag. Now, when it comes to rest, you have to remember that hiding is a totally normal recovery behavior. They're not mad at you, they're just seeking security. So as tempting as it is to drag them out for a cuddle, don't do it. Forcing them out or creating a loud, chaotic environment will only ramp up their anxiety and actually slow down their recovery. The best thing you can do is give them a safe, quiet spot and just let them come out on their own terms.
Okay, so beyond their personal little recovery zone, we also need to think about the wider home environment. We've got to make sure it's a safe sanctuary for them while they're feeling so vulnerable.
And the reason for this is pretty straightforward. Think of their fur as their own little suit of armor. Without it, their skin is totally exposed and way more sensitive to irritants, moisture, and bacteria that might just be hanging around the house.
This means for about a week, you'll want to play bouncer and block off a few key areas. Shoe racks are a big one. Think of all the gunk our shoes bring in from outside. Bathrooms are another, with all the moisture and cleaning chemicals. And definitely balconies. These spots just pose too high risk for skin irritation or even an infection while their skin is so exposed. This brings us to a really common question, especially when people see their newly shaved cat shiver a little bit. It seems totally logical, right? Just pop a little sweater on them to keep them warm. Well, surprisingly, the answer is usually no. Clothes can actually cause more problems by constantly rubbing against their super sensitive skin, and a lack of good ventilation can trap moisture. The much better approach is to give them options. Maybe turn up the thermostat a degree or two and provide a soft blanket or a cozy bed. This lets them control their own comfort, which is always the best way to go. All right, now for those of you in multi-cat households, this next section is absolutely crucial. Sometimes you bring your groomed cat home and you're met with just unexpected and shocking hostility from your other cats. And you're just standing there wondering what on earth is going on. I mean, they were cuddling just this morning and now they're acting like complete strangers, or worse, like mortal enemies. The answer, my friends, all comes down to scent. Cats recognize each other largely through a shared family scent. It's like their secret password. But after a trip to the groomer, that familiar password is gone, and it's been replaced by all the alien smells of shampoos and the salon. To your other cat, this new arrival smells like a total intruder. So here's how you fix it. Don't panic. If the aggression is really serious, separate them for a little while. Then, take a towel or a blanket and rub down the cat that stayed home to get their scent all over it. After that, gently rub the newly groomed cat with that same towel. You're basically remixing their scents and helping to reestablish that crucial family smell. Then just let them slowly readapt to each other. All right, once you're past that intense first 24-hour period, your job isn't quite over. For the next week or two, you need to become a bit of a detective, just watching for any subtle signs that something might be a little off.
Keep a really close eye on their skin. You're looking for any redness or a rash that seems to be spreading, any weird discharge or odor, or if they just will not stop scratching or licking one particular spot. If you see any of these things, don't wait and wonder. It's time to call the vet. Also, be on the lookout for something called over-grooming. Now, this isn't their normal everyday cleaning. This is an obsessive, repetitive licking or even biting at one single spot. It can be a self-soothing thing they do because of anxiety, or it could be a sign that their skin is really irritated. If it gets to the point where they're creating a sore, that definitely warrants a vet visit.
And finally, a special note for our senior cats, that's anyone 7 years or older, and our heavier cats. Their bodies might just have a harder time bouncing back from the stress of it all. For them, do a few extra checks. Are their gums dry? Have you noticed they're peeing less? Are they way more lethargic than usual? These can be early signs that they need a little extra support from you and maybe your vet.
You know, when you boil it all down, it comes back to one key idea. The most powerful, most valuable tool you have to make sure your cat is okay after a groom is simply your careful, loving observation. So the next time you bring your cat home from the groomer, I want you to remember this. You're seeing a clean coat, sure, but your cat is communicating so much more through their behavior, through their body language. The real question is, what are they trying to tell you? Listening with your eyes, well, that makes all the difference.